You cannot just add Jesus on. You actually have to make him the first priority, the number one, so that everything under that, family, finances, sexual, everything would fall under his lordship, and that he is the first priority, and that he allows all of those other things to be rearranged. Let me say it like this. Christ wants to come in and rearrange the furniture of your home. So take a look what Jesus says to this man who says, I will follow, but first let me go bury my father. Jesus says to him, take a look at it, because when you read the words of Christ, sometimes it comes across a little bit even cold and heartless. How many know that Jesus is not cold or heartless? But yet it comes across that way. Look what he says. He says, leave the dead to bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom. I think what he's getting at, there's kind of like a key principle here, and the principle would be this, is that the moment of conviction is the moment of decision. Like in that moment, if God has got a hold of your heart and you're saying, I'm gonna follow, that's the moment you gotta decide that his kingdom and his purposes have priority. So when it comes to the nature of Jesus, as I said, he's not cold and he's not heartless. Let me give you a key thought here. A key thought would be like this. Here it is, a key thought. Jesus will never ignore our pain, but he will always challenge our priorities. He will always challenge our priorities. He will come in, he will rearrange the furniture, he will be looking to mess with all of those priorities, and if something is out of whack, if there's some priority that we are placing above him and his purposes and his kingdom, he will come in. Listen, he will never ignore our pain, but he will always challenge our priorities. Let me tell you about what happened in a small group years ago. I was in a room with about 6 men, and we were talking about the priorities and the purposes of God upon our life. And it was one of those moments in a small group where one of our members of the small group said something, and when he said it, it just gripped all of us with a sense of just hilarity. The man said this in that small group meeting: I'm all in for Jesus except my time and my money. I want you to think about that. I'm all in. Well, except. Isn't that great? It's honest, it's candid, and it shows the tension and the wrestling point. Let me ask you, are you all in? And what would be after your accept? What would you say as you say, I'm all in? Well, except. Well, those are the moments of life that we have to just recognize that the path, the cost of discipleship, listen, it won't be easy, and it must take priority. Let me move to an action step here. Let me mess with those areas of life. Rearrange priorities. To follow Jesus sincerely will disrupt our priorities significantly. If you want to follow Jesus, yes, some of you. If you want to follow him, Christ is very clear. It will not be easy, and it must take priority. He invites you on the road, but listen, you can't leave things unchanged. He will not be added onto your life and leave your life unchanged. He will come in, he will move the furniture, he will mess with priorities, he will challenge those areas. He will constantly be calling each one of us to bring all areas of our life under his lordship and full surrender. Let me share with you a new normal. You want to follow Jesus? Here's the new normal. Some things must be altered. Some things must be abandoned, and some things must be added. Let me testify to this. I chose to follow Jesus in November of 1984, and for about the next 10, 11 years, I would say that I was a follower of Jesus, but it wasn't until I was 16 that God arrested me in such a way that his Holy Spirit gripped me with conviction that I was gonna dedicate my life and commit my life on a path of discipleship. And that path of discipleship, I was dedicated at that point in time, I was willing to go wherever it took me, whatever it cost me, and however it would end. I was Jesus. I was his disciple. But let me tell you, it was not all fame and glory, because immediately when that decision was made that I was gonna be a sold out, all in disciple of Jesus, within quick succession, within a couple of months, 3 different relationships were immediately changed. First of all, relationship with alcohol. Second, relationship with the opposite sex. Third, relationship with friendships. Some things had to be altered, some things had to be abandoned, and some things had to be added. The Lord in that moment was rearranging the furniture of my life. My friend, I am not a unique case. This is what Christ does. When we declare that we are all in for him and we have no exceptions, when we say, I'm all in, you have my life, Lord, I'm gonna follow you wherever it leads, whatever it costs, however it ends, I'm yours. Listen, be prepared for a new normal. Because he's gonna come in, he's gonna shake things up, and you're gonna have to decide whether or not you're honest and truthful about that decision to follow Jesus, because there will be some things you have to alter. There will be things you have to abandon, and there will be things that you have to add on this new path of discipleship.